Hello, this is the podcast host version of George checking in one last time for the Patreon bonus intro. If you're hearing this, it's because Best Little Horror House in Philly has ended, and I'm releasing the Patreon bonus episodes into the wild. These episodes only exist thanks to the very generous support of some listeners over the years, and I encourage you all to consider supporting an independent podcast this way, or independent art in general. As I mentioned, these episodes are coming from all over the podcast timeline. You'll hear the old intro sometimes, which is kind of a yardstick, but generally I am mentioning this because it means that they will have varying levels of audio quality. As I got better at hosting, so too did the technical aspects. While I certainly wish all the episodes were of the same standard that it reached near the end, I can't go back in time, and I felt it was better to release them this way than not at all, so I hope you enjoy. Hi everybody, I'm George, and welcome to another Spotlight episode of Blah Hip. It's late October as we record this, and Halloween is around the corner. Perfect time for some cozy fall films. And with all the recent Fear Street movies, I found myself wanting to revisit the 2015 R.L. Stine movie, which is a gentler, kinder kind of Goosebump compared to the Fear Street movies. That's where teens live. So who better to help me break down Goosebumps than two of my buds, your buds, the Goosebuds. Welcome back to the show, Paul Ritchey and Kevin Cole.
Hi.
Hi, thanks for having us.
This voice is Paul.
This voice is Kevin.
That's how you know they're pros.
Yep.
Guys, thrilled to have you back on. I'm really excited to hear what you guys think of this movie because, Kevin, the last time this was covered on Goosebuds was episode 11 when this movie came out, October 2015, and you weren't one of the hosts of the show yet.
I wasn't even an editor on the podcast yet, so...
Wow.
Yeah.
So was this your first time checking it out, or had you seen the movie already?
I watched Haunted Halloween for Goosebuds recently, or by recently I mean this year. But no, this is my first time watching Jack Black's Opus,
Wow.
the Goosebumps movie.
And Paul, was it different coming back to the movie now, having covered the entire original run of Goosebumps? You know, 2015 is not a small amount of time ago. Curious to hear if your opinion has changed, if it was more fun coming back to it, or if you're kind of goosebumped out and you're just like, whatever, this is nonsense.
Well, I'll be honest. We had read 10 Goosebumps books by the time we had gotten to this, so essentially had seen everything that Goosebumps had to offer within that time period. So I got to say, I don't think I was surprised much by what was in the movie. But I will say that it was interesting to watch it now, having seen Goosebumps 2, Haunted Halloween, and seeing the Fear Street movies, because I had a little bit more to compare it to. I think when I first saw this, I think we talked very briefly before we started recording, pleasantly surprised by the quality of this movie at the time. And I cannot remember for the life of me what I said about this movie 6 years ago. So I might contradict myself a lot.
Now, George has said that we don't have to be nice to this movie if we don't want to be. I do genuinely like a lot that this movie has to offer, but I would say that this movie has the trappings of quality, not quite quality itself.
I would agree. I think that's a lot of movies now.
Yeah. I think the weirdest thing about watching this in 2021 is how much film has changed in the last 6 years is kind of encapsulated by watching this little movie, because Endgame hadn't even come out yet, right? So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we were in the Stone Age as far as movies go. But like,
So true.
well, yeah, it's just interesting, some of the choices, especially some of the casting choices they made. They almost seem like kind of stuck back in like Twilight or something like that.
Explain, please.
I found the most friction in this movie for me was with the casting of the leading man, Zach. To me,
Dylan Minnette.
Thank you,
Dylan Minnette. Can you give me 13 reasons why you didn't like it?
I can, and a lot of them are kind of mean. So I'm not going to read some of them, like he looks like a PlayStation 2 character.
He looks like the first Peter Parker.
He looks a little bit, like the
from Marvel's Spider-Man, I should clarify.
Yeah,
like the video games. Sorry,
right,
Sony
right,
Spider-Man.
right.
Sony Spider-Man.
Sure.
If you were playing like a game with a character creator and there was a default option, I think that's what Zach looks like in this.
Look, he is a little generic, perhaps. I think it's interesting to that point, Kevin, that to me this feels. It smacks of cash-in.
Yeah.
But it also feels like somebody along the way was like, it doesn't have to be terrible.
And I feel like that person was Jack Black.
Well, definitely. Jack Black carried this movie on his back, without a doubt.
For sure.
I will say, though, having seen Goosebumps 2 Haunted Halloween relatively recently, I think they were trying to do similar things with their casting, except it felt stuntier. George, have you seen 2 Haunted Halloween?
I thought I had, but I don't remember anything about it.
I
said Jack Black was still in it.
That doesn't mean you haven't seen it. It's not the most memorable movie.
Yeah.
Very fair.
I don't think Jack Black remembers being in any way.
Wow.
Yeah, I think they were going for like, hey, we got the comedy peoples in this, but I think they did a better job in this one. Jack Black, obviously, big get, right?
Sure.
But I think the people that they got as the like tertiary characters, right? Amy Ryan, Jillian Bell, Ken motherfucking Marino is
amazing.
In this. And Ken Marino, with the limited screen time he has, gets some great moments.
Underutilized, dramatically
yes.
underutilized.
I feel like there was some stuff cut out of it. I feel like he had some moments that
it definitely feels that way.
Yeah. But I think that they really nail it. And Kevin, I'm with you. I think Dylan Minnette is a little generic looking. Good looking dude.
That's not yes. I'm not saying he is bad looking. What I'm saying is he's a little too blank slatey for me. And I realize he's a very good actor because when he cried, I believed it. But I don't know what they were doing with this character because they clearly wanted him to have traits. But the coolest thing he did was wield 2 baseball bats at the same time.
It was cool, though.
In a 2-second clip. That's it. That's all you get of it.
Well, October 2015, you will believe an NPC can cry.
He has qualities that I think a Goosebumps book protagonist has, which is every child should be able to feel like they are it.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Total self-insert action happening in Goosebumps.
Yeah, so I think maybe that's the vibe. Mm-hmm. Not to take... Again, I think that Dylan Minnette's pretty good. I think he's a good actor, but I think that might have been what they were going for.
I did like that attention was paid to the books themselves, because some things in the books actually end up coming up in the movie. Not very many, but a few. Mm-hmm. And I felt like in Haunted Halloween, they just like tossed out a few names of the books, and like Ken Jeong said a few of the titles, and that's it. That's all you got.
Yeah, I really agree with that, Kevin. Not only in terms of like just making sure that sections of or different books got incorporated into it, but also just the way that some parts of this movie are structured really feel like the books to me. And it'll come up as we go through the plot and everything, but there are moments where I can like see the chapter break.
Yes. Yeah. I think I remember when we first watched this movie being like they had the fake outs in it. They had like the cheese ball fake outs, and they work when you can actually use all the senses to scare you with them instead of in a book being like, this is scary, trust me.
Yeah. I actually felt like it started to feel a little video gamey by the time we got to the graveyard. Like it was very much setting monster. And as a fan of Zombies Ate My Neighbors, like this felt a little bit like a Zombies Ate My Neighbors movie. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man.
Yeah, I think I wrote Final Boss at one point here.
Yep.
It is good though, but to give a little background, since its inspiration by Tales from the Crypt and its subsequent release in July of 1992, Goosebumps has become the second best-selling children's series of all time, right behind Harry Potter.
Woo! Wow, that's I'm not wooing Harry Potter. I'm wooing.
Right.
Wow, that's a lot of sales.
Yes, certainly is. And it was funny that I like had that like note taken, and then in the movie when Jack Black is like, I did way better than Stephen King, I was like, oh, this is true. But Goosebumps has also become a well-regarded TV show in 1995. After Executive's Son loved Say Cheese and Die, Kid After My Own Heart. That's one of my favorites as well.
Has murder in it.
Sure does. And there are also many video game adaptations, but there were no G-Bumps movies until this one, which I thought was really interesting, especially because they were trying as early as 1998 with Tim Burton slated to direct.
I love that there is a tiny kernel of that in that Danny Elfman did the score for this, which is like that carried through from 1998.
Yeah. They've been holding on. That the score was already done.
He just pre-wrote it like he does with all his movies.
This got tangled up, though, because they straight up couldn't decide which monster to adapt into the movie, which is an understandable problem considering that, one, the books are for kids, so they're short, and two, their bread and butter for Goosebumps is the variety of iconic monsters. So it's tough to be like, well, this is obviously the iconic Goosebumps monster, because that could be the case for 5 or 10 of them even.
I actually thought, as I was watching the end of it again this time, I was kind of thinking about how really what's doing the heavy lifting is... It's funny because this is a movie about a brand, and it's like it's just like, hey, the brand is alive, and you're like, cool, the brand is scary. But I was really thinking about all the monsters, and I was like, there's not a lot of really original monsters. Like the giant mantis is kind of original, I guess, but most of them are pretty like standard de facto, like your typical horror stuff, right? Like
sure,
like they could come from your classic horror films. Or or any of the anyway.
Sure, and even that mantis, is clearly inspired by the Atomic Age stuff, where it was like the bee women or the giant ants from them or whatever.
Yeah. I think that Tim Jacobus's artwork is actually doing the true heavy lifting here. I really think that like the designs of the monsters are what are iconic about them in regards to them being Goosebumps monsters.
Yes.
Yeah. Possibly the most original Goosebumps monster is Slappy, who's basically the mascot for Goosebumps at this point.
Yeah.
And looking at this movie, like he gets to be the center of the mischief, and it is really fun to hear Jack Black talk to himself.
Yes. Several monologues, or they're mostly monologues where they will each be like, "Here's why you're bad. Here's why I'm good."
Yeah. And it is technically a monologue because he created Slappy, so it is a facet of his own personality talking back to him.
Which having him do the voices for both, it's just like it's great. Like it just brings so much life into both characters, which is why we say Jack Black is the heavy lifter on this one.
I think he's setting the tone too, right? Like, I mean, I think that the second one we talked about it when we watched it. We were like, the humor was fine, But I think that Jack Black, playing off of Jack Black, the humor just works. It's clicking in this one, and everybody's kind of bringing their own little bit. What's the name of the two cops? The two actors that played the cops, they were also good.
Oh yes. I forgot. Yeah, what are they?
I think it's Amanda Lund and Timothy Simmons are the two cops, and like that one scene where they first show up to Mr. Shivers' house. Is just like I don't know. It's working, and I don't know if that's because Jack Black is there to play the scene off of. But I really think that direction in this one is really nailing that humor. Kevin, to your point, the Marvel stuff hadn't fully settled in yet, and I don't think we were purely in every movie needs to be quippy fun time.
Yeah. This still feels a little bit like it's got one foot in sort of the 2000s era of movie making, where things are big and epic, but it's not quite popping off with all of these characters.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. Well, two things. One, I don't think I realized that was Amanda Lund, because she's a great comedian, and I know who that is. So that's funny that she was in this. But also, I think that it is funny to see some of that Marvelization sort of permeating into general film culture at the time, because Dylan Minette's character is quippy, and it feels like he would fit into a Marvel movie, maybe. Okay,
or like a to say, oh, that type of quip, like a Joss Whedon type thing, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Because I think this is actually probably more in the mold of Cabin in the Woods, right?
But not every single character is that way,
Right.
which is very important to me.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's 100% right. Like, for instance, I mean, I think he's got his own type of humor, but the kid who plays the friend Champ, Ryan Lee,
Right.
who was in Super 8,
Oh.
I was looking at him and I was like, I fucking know that kid. I thought he did a great job of playing like the dorky friend, and I think he's got some really good, like he's got a couple of lines. I actually wrote one of his lines down because it was that, and we'll get to it as we're going through that. That I thought was actually like a very like well delivered, really funny line. I think these kids are a little older too, for the most part, than the actors in the second one, which they're probably young adults, so it gives them a little more. They have a little more seasoning and a little bit more,
Sure.
a little more chops.
I actually saw a little bit of Twilight in the casting of
you said
of
that.
these characters as well. I think that's probably the other touchstone for this, and probably why there's so much romance in it. Because I think it probably wasn't around 2015 that Twilight was big. It was probably waning at that time for sure.
Yeah, what was it, like probably like 2012
I
it
think
ended?
New Moon came out in 2012.
Yeah. I remember like Magic got a big boost. Magic the Gathering got a big boost from including vampires more as a tribe after Twilight, and that sort of reinvigorated the Magic the Gathering brand. So that's how I remember Twilight in the popular culture as Magic cards.
Magic eras, yes.
Yeah,
Don't lie, Kevin. This is just because you're really Team Champ, right?
it's true. It's true.
But sorry. Go ahead.
Just on Champ again, that's like a really thankless role to be full coward all the way.
Full coward, pure coward, yeah.
It's very Goosebumps. Like that kid is like, I think the cowardly troublemaking kid is written as like the secondary character in pretty much every Goosebumps that has room for a secondary character.
Sure. Usually a sibling.
Yep.
Yes.
Or a best friend.
Yes,
Yep.
usually a sibling. Yep.
But so this had no script, even though they were trying to figure out what to do, and it got put back on the shelf until 2008. So 10 years.
Yikes.
And Columbia Pictures bought the rights and gave it to producers, including Deborah Forte, who was an EP on the show as well. Which I think does help to maintain some of the same feeling between the two properties. The screenwriters originally brought in were Scott Alexander and Larry Karaszewski, who've done a few scripts like 1408 and Problem Child, but mostly they're known for these offbeat biopics like Ed Wood, Man on the Moon, Big Eyes, The People vs. Larry Flint, My Name is Dolomite, etc. And to me, this is of note because of their decision to bypass having to directly adapt a short book, changing it into a fake biopic where R.L. Stine writes a book that brings the monsters he wrote to life. I think this is such a great decision to avoid having to limit yourself in that way.
Yeah, make what you know. Like if you got a big property like that, then yeah, just try and make it in your style. That's really cool.
Again, I agree that that's a great idea, but again, it also makes it be about a brand. And I think that adds to the feeling of quality, right? Like to the touchstone of quality.
Yeah.
Where I'm not like the Goosebumps thing is what's really doing it. It's more just like the knowledge of Goosebumps is what makes this movie work, you know?
The memory more than anything. And
Yes.
I think back to our earlier point about why include so many monsters, why not pick one? I don't think if you grew up with Goosebuds, you had the whole set, unless like your parents were like willing to buy it for you or could buy it for you.
Yeah, you got one at every book fair if you were lucky.
Yeah.
And what do they happen? Like once a year?
Yeah. So it'd be too big of a gamble to be like Slappy is the main villain, because what if you just skipped over Slappy every time because they're like, lame puppet.
That's why you bring in Curly, baby.
Yep.
They needed Curly. Where was Curly?
Where was Curly?
I want to see the radical skeleton.
We can only dream. And I think that you're totally right in that if you pull out Goosebumps from this movie, is it like the most boring movie ever made? Possibly.
There are some bright spots, I feel.
Yeah.
That like there are a couple like really wonderful moments, like going into the woods and having the whole carnival light up in the middle of the woods. That's like some cool imagery. Harkening back to Paul, what book is that? Horrorland?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Welcome to Horrorland.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, an abandoned functionette.
Love it.
Now, the movie continued to sit in development hell, pre-development hell even, until Darren Lemke of Shrek Forever After and Shazam work gave the script one more polish in 2012, and the studio finally got Jack Black on board as the fictional version of R.L. Stine, reuniting with Rob Letterman as director after Shark Tale and Gulliver's Travels, the two movies that they had worked on together previously.
I looked up his IMDb, this director's, and saw that he did Gulliver's, and the gnome scene in this movie took on a whole new meaning for me.
Yes, absolutely. Big time Lilliputian action happening there.
I wondered if that was a reference to that.
I was like, there it is.
Feels like it.
But I was like, who is a big enough fan of Gulliver's Travels to make that reference? Oh, the person
world. It's a cornerstone story, Kevin.
I mean, I'm a hardcore Bernie stan, so I guess everyone has their own Jack Black.
There you go. School of Rock for me, personally.
Very
nice. Hell yeah. Saving Silverman all the way.
Oh, yeah.
The movie finally released, like we said, in October of 2015, with Dylan Minnette and Odeya Rush rounding out the cast as Zach and Hannah, and the movie released to pretty positive buzz and up to $100 million in profit, although the budget reported fluctuates between $58 and $84 million. Not too bad at all.
I had to make note of the budget from this one to the second one, and I really felt like that extra, so it was like 15 to 20 million ish. That went a long way.
Oh yeah, dump that all into effects, because the effects in this movie are good. I like them.
Yeah.
The only one that stood out as like maybe could have been a little better with some like just more modern technology was the Blob, but it's so huge and like it's so difficult. The lighting from 1,000 different angles and everything. You're like, I understand why this is a difficult section to animate with good CGI.
I thought it was very bold of them, and I think it looked pretty good. There were some moments that were okay with the Wolfman. To do that in a fully lit setting like that is pretty impressive and pretty bold.
Wolfman read really well, and I love that they correctly did his toes. Where his toes were poking out of the chucks he was wearing.
Yep.
That was cool.
And I was running on the toe part, and the chucks seemed like they were scooted up. Yep. Like that's how the fucking shoe would work.
They'd rip right out.
Man. Pretty cool werewolf guy.
It's not bad.
Pretty cool.
So to get into the actual movie, very kind of Witches of Eastwick opening with this like creepy but playful music that we talked about. Zach Cooper and his mom, Vice Principal Gale, are moving to Madison, Delaware after the death of Papa Cooper. Seems to be a perfectly lovely little town, but the Coopers are from big bad NYC.
Dude, and they're burning on places. He drops a Guantanamo. He drops a North Korea. And then below all those, motherfucking Detroit. And you know what, George? I know you felt this too. I know Philly was right behind that. I know they were ready to burn Philadelphia. I felt the fear
in the writer's room.
I felt the fear inside of me.
Yeah, get the hell out of here with your like Detroit burns. Like that. Yeah. That shit was never cool.
No, that's some New York bullshit.
Yeah,
that's it's hubris.
It is.
But Zach is very unhappy.
Yeah,
I will say. Gail seems to be lovely and in high spirits.
I wish there was more Gail.
Yeah, she's great. I forget that actress's name. She's in The Office, and she's great in that too.
Yeah, Amy Ryan. She's also in The Wire. She's a fantastic character in The Wire too.
Paul, what if I told you I've never seen The Wire?
I am surprised, but also excited for you to get to experience that for the first time.
Live from New York, it's my sister Gail with special guest, my nephew Zach. Very funny intro as Aunt Lorraine storms in. Big fan of Jillian Bell. She's good in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I think she is bringing a lot to this movie as well.
Yes. Her and Jack Black together create like a nice little magical combo.
Good chemistry.
Great chemistry.
Yeah. I loved them when they finally get to meet. And then, first of all, the whole time I was like, I don't remember if they ever like interact at all, which would be a real shame if these two great comedians didn't get to like play off each other at all. And then when they finally do, it's like this great little moment where they're like flirty with each other, and it's just a really fun moment.
And she sets the tone for the humor too, right? Because we have this opening sequence, which isn't laugh out loud funny, right? It's fine. You're not offended by it.
I was.
But okay. Some people are offended. Well, actually, no, what am I talking about? I was offended.
Yeah.
Just went completely against what I said. You're not offended by Okay, I'm offended by it. Never mind. I'm just going to stick by that.
It's a quippy opening.
It's a quippy opening. It's fine. It's not setting my world on fire. But then she comes in and she does the he looks handsome. He's never going to go back to not being handsome bit. And that's a good bit. That's a great bit.
Gives him the hat, the bedazzled Yankees hat.
It's good. It's working, right? And
I dare say I got my hopes up at that point, and not high, but like they were a strong neutral for the opening bit, and then man, like that hat just like gave me a smile. I can't deny. I loved it.
I think getting primed with some good quality humor in that moment gives you you're gonna laugh a little bit more at some of the other stuff because you're like, I know they can do it. I have faith. I have some confidence. The warm up has occurred and I'm warmed up and ready to go.
The use of humor is really, I'd say, expertly done in this because our introduction to R.L. Stine, Jack Black's character, is very it's not scary. It's just you think he's going to be funny when you see him, and he's very stern and very mean, and it's great.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I think that this is a great moment. I will also say, I think that hat has come back around into fashionable.
Yeah, bedazzling's coming back. The New York Yankees were never fashionable, but...
Wow. Well, I'm going to have to disagree. Well, we won't have to get into this, but... Now, here's the thing. This might be about Goosebumps, but it's also a classic Goosebumps setup. Like I was talking about, you can see the structure of the books because Zach meets his neighbors, a girl his age named Hannah, who is quickly shooed away from the window by her mysterious father, Mr. Shivers, who warns Zach to stay away. These bumps don't get more goose.
That's true. That's top goose. It's top goose. I had to write down the Shivers. The first time I watched this, had not read the Shivers book that we had read, and was not aware of the Shivers franchise. And now I'm wondering, was that a burn?
Wow. Ooh. Could very well be.
I think that was an alpha dog burn from RL right there. I think he was like, you're calling me Shivers.
He's big dogging him.
We're taking it. What's that guy's name? I'm going to look it up. Yeah, I think he was. I do. I think he really was.
I believe it. I absolutely believe it. That totally feels like an RL thing to do.
I feel like RL was definitely interviewed because there are little details about the jokes Jack Black makes and the way his house is decorated and just little touches that feel like they talk to RL through this.
I mean, he's in it.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He's Mr. Black.
Yeah. It's fucked up. That's fucked up. They should have picked a different name. At school, Zach meets his new pal, Champ, a.k.a. Chump, a friendly dork with business cards. That's a real bold move to have business cards in high school.
I forgot about the business cards detail.
That's a lot. But it does make sense because, what? Are they going to trade information right there? how's Zach going to get that information to call Champ up later? It's gotta be he's putting his card out there. So it was dorky and useful for the plot, so I liked it.
It's also not so shoved down your throat that you're like, I understand that this is a filmic element because he's also joking about being, well, he's not joking, but it is a joke about how he's the equipment manager for the football team, which of course he is, and he's got other stuff going on that he's talking about on the card, but it enables him to be like, oh, I have to get in touch with somebody. Here's my chance.
Champ's working every angle he can.
Also, having your locker number on the business card is pretty genius as well.
Then you got to change them every year, which stinks.
That does stink.
Well,
Cross them out.
Your taste will change throughout high school, so your freshman year sense of design is going to be eclipsed by your junior year sense of design.
Yeah, I'm going to want bone in sophomore year, and I'm going to want marrow in the next year.
Yeah.
There's nowhere deeper to go from marrow.
No, then it could be never on Onyx.
Your senior year, strong bad.
Ooh.
Yes.
Love it.
It comes all the way back around.
Yeah.
Goes back to shallow. But Ken Marino is also here. Like I said, underutilized. Feels like there are big chunks of this that maybe got removed in the editing portion of post-production, which is a shame.
I get the impression this one maybe had maybe not a ton of it, but a little bit of that Apatow line-orama. Maybe not a ton, but I feel like there might have been some moments where Ken Marino got to just riff a little bit. Because you have some people in here capable of doing some riffing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I guess maybe not, because you don't really have too many scenes where it feels like that could happen. But there were a couple moments, like you're saying, George, where I feel like, especially with Marino, like when they're at the dance, I feel like his scene gets cut off at a spot where I'm like, I think there was some more behind that.
Yeah. And we were talking about how we would have liked a little more Gale. There is some romantic elements there played up between Marino clearly being interested in Gale, and she's just like, not the time. Yeah. And that's kind of where that plot line just gets dropped. Mm-hmm. And, it feels like that is kind of where they were like, well, we have to bring this in at an hour 40 or whatever it is. Unfortunately, this romantic subplot is the thing that's getting the cut, and that means that Gale and Ken Marino's characters get cut. So
yeah. Also, the references to twerking in in Gale's speech, I was like, now this dates the movie.
Yes, it did.
For sure.
Because it
does, although her being like, I don't know what this is, and everyone being like, you're already using that wrong, means that it has a little more longevity, I think, than using it correctly.
Right. I love how upset the kids were about not being able to turn their butts towards each other.
It's a big deal.
They were very upset. There was significant booing.
I mean, Did you see that dance? That rule was unenforceable.
That dance was popping off.
We didn't have like a DJ on a stage when we had our school dance. We were just all kind of crammed into a cafeteria.
Yeah, ours was the gym, but same deal.
Yeah.
That was a baller ass dance.
That was.
Yeah, they were. Who knew? Madison, Delaware knows how to throw a rager. So that night. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Kev.
So you two are Pennsylvania natives.
Yes.
Well, not native, but
you two are Pennsylvania inhabitants.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Are there any stereotypes about Delaware, or is Delaware just the blank slate I kind of think it is?
I know that it's kind of like the just place where people go for outlets.
Yeah, it's the tax-free haven. You go there when you don't want to pay PA state tax.
Yeah, Rehoboth is down there.
Yeah, Rehoboth. They have a horse beach, a beach with horses. That's about it. It's really...
Yeah. It's a tiny state.
It's tiny, and it's...
Joe Biden's from there.
Yeah.
Loves trains.
It feels a little bit like a fake state, not to offend anyone from Delaware who may be listening. But it just doesn't feel real to me like Rhode Island doesn't feel real.
Right. It's the Dylan Minnette of states.
So true.
Dylan Minnette, if you're listening, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You did a really good job in this movie.
Dylan was great, honestly. He is great.
Delaware Minnette.
Delaware Minnette.
That's all I'm saying is that it fits in perfectly.
I hope you're listening, Dylan. You got insulted and you got a nickname.
Yeah, he's a patron, and I am directly insulting him.
Dylan, we're sorry. Please come on George's show.
Sure. Hey, sure.
I'd love to hear his thoughts.
Oh, me too.
That night, despite the warnings of Mr. Shivers, Hannah scares Zach genially, and then they go off into the woods together when he asks if there's anything fun to do. And this is where Dylan Minnette's kind of like little quips come into play. They work to a varying degree throughout the movie, but these ones about it maybe being a bad idea to follow a stranger into the woods really were making me chuckle here.
This is some good romantic comedy energy happening here.
They had good chemistry. There was very good casting and very good chemistry in this movie.
Yeah,
I agree. I don't know if we hit on this, but Zach is also pushing the memory of his dead father way down in this movie. So he's got that darkness, which is going to come up again later when we learn more about Hannah Shivers.
Darkness imprisoning him. All that he sees, absolute horror.
Well said.
Thank you. I wrote it myself.
Wow.
Feeling really good about it.
You should definitely put that on the internet because no one will ever sue you for putting it out there.
Now, this turns out to be a totally radical abandoned theme park that they explore.
So sick.
Which, I don't know how everyone's not hanging out there all the time.
It's so sick, and it still has power run to it.
That, too.
It's incredible.
Yeah, back in my high school days, we would just gather in the woods at a quarry, which is just it's just a hole.
Any old hole in the ground would do.
Yeah. If there was a whole, like, abandoned carnival that we could visit and throw rocks at, then...
With lights.
With lights!
Yeah, we would be smashing the shit out of that thing and getting really high.
I also did want to discuss this briefly, but it does involve a big spoiler. So go ahead and hit fast forward for like a minute and a half out there. Hannah scrambles up this Ferris wheel, and Zach is like, I don't know about this. And she goes, it's totally safe. I do it all the time. But she's a ghost.
Yeah,
and
it's not
she
fair.
knows that she's a ghost.
No, she doesn't know.
She does. She says at the end, she was like, I did know. And that's why she opens
does
up
say
the
that.
book.
Oh, my God. She did know. Oh, my God. I forgot about that. Okay.
Yeah. So
then,
as a ghost, does she just think, like, you fall off a Ferris wheel and you're fine?
I think that is what she thinks.
yeah, she doesn't know about kids' mortality.
We don't know the full extent of her ghost powers either. She could have, like, feather fall, like, ready to cast.
Light fall. Yep.
Yep. And
Wow,
like,
she could grab him and drag him down slow as well.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
Is she was ready to catch him.
oh yeah, she's
That's
already
what
like primed to be a guardian spirit.
Yeah, I choose to believe that that's what it was.
Yeah. Otherwise, it is very fucked up.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
they go back though, and Mr. Shivers catches her and warns Zach again. And when he hears them fighting that night, he also appears to see her get killed Rear Window style.
Yep.
This is a fun little moment too.
He's doing algebra and he throws his pencil so fucking hard I had to write it down. Like, what a take.
Algebra sucks, man.
He just like hears a minor disturbance from next door and he whips his pencil as he walks towards the window. It's insane. He's ready to throw hands.
I'm with him. I hate math. I think algebra in particular fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Miss Gaffney hated me. She only passed me so that she didn't have to deal with me in the class again. So, sorry, Gaff Attack, but I know it's the case.
I was good friends with my math teacher, but was never really more than a B student.
Well, that's pretty good in my opinion for math.
Yeah.
So.
I was on that pencil throwing wavelength with you, George.
Zach calls the cops on Shivers, and this is the moment we were talking about, and I also loved these cop moments where he's just immediately screaming you're under arrest at him.
Yeah.
Also, very funny and very classic Goosebumps again, for them to immediately take the side of the adult no matter how absurd the story is.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's just the end of it. They're like, oh, great. All right. Problem solved. This kid, how dare you? Don't you know what the consequence is for filing a false report?
I mean,
No further exploration needed by the police in Madison.
Goosebumps says cops won't help you. And I think we should listen to Goosebumps on that one.
I think another instance of a movie inadvertently being right about cops.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, well, even just how quick to pull out the gun and shit. She's like, I'm gonna fucking take
Yeah,
this.
she's like so ready. Having grown up around small town cops, that is exactly what they're like. They send their babyest cops to my hometown to like get a feel for driving the car and talking
Season
to
'em
people.
up.
Yeah. So it's just they're. And if you're in a small town, you're gonna find not the best and brightest cops.
Sure. I was also in a small town, and whenever something did actually happen, they were fucking eager
Yep.
to pull out all the tricks.
Small town cops are bored most of the time, and they're ready to go.
And that much is made very clear in Goosebumps 2015.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We get the great gag of the scream. Another scream happens, only to be revealed that it is a A+ sound system. That, that Mr. Stein is
cinephile.
rocking. Cinephile Stein himself.
Oh, man. Or no, what is he says he's an
Audiophile,
audiophile. That's right. Yeah. Gail has to go to school at night because she's a chaperone for this semi-formal dance that's happening. So Zach is left with Aunt Lorraine.
Right.
And then he tricks Mr. Shivers into going to the police station, tricks his aunt into leaving him alone, tricks Champ into coming over to help him. This Zach guy is a shifty kid.
Very tricky. But as a teenager, you're basically a lie elemental. Like everything you do is because your body is made of lies, and you're going to project that into the universe.
Yeah, there is the aura of lie coming off of you with your hormones. Like, your hormones are making you be like, I cannot be authentic. There's
chaotic neutral.
Yeah, no authenticity allowed. As we see in the beginning too, his sarcasm is constantly running. So yes.
Mm-hmm. And he even admits that it is a defense mechanism. So
lie elemental.
I do love, in addition to being a liar, he's also a master lockpick, or at least watches Lockpicking Lawyer on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He does it very quickly. Champ is impressed, but he thinks it's just a New York skill that you pick up.
Never comes up again, despite the fact that they run into several locked doors that he could, in theory, pick.
You're right. It totally does.
It just never comes up again that he can go boop and pick a lock.
Well, I guess they hoped the audience would be like me and just totally out of sight, out of mind, forget that he could do that.
I choose to believe that those doors were already unlocked. He was lying about that. And he was lying about his ability to pick locks. That's what
lie elemental.
He's a liar. He's a lie elemental. They also, and this is a complaint for later, but the locks on the books do nothing. Like, the manuscript locks do absolutely nothing.
Yeah, they can fall on the ground and just pop open.
That's a latch.
Opens by itself.
Yeah, right. One, it cannot even...
The main one!
Yeah, it can't even contain what's inside of it.
Also, lie elemental is a very fun word to say, and I also like the idea of it being a guy's name, Lyle Elemental.
Lyle Elemental.
If anyone wants to make the stat block for a lie elemental in, like, Dungeons and Dragons or whatever, let me know. I'd be interested in seeing that.
Yeah. Now, the two of them, Zach and Champ, break into the house to see what's happening. They evade bear traps in the basement.
Chekhov's bear traps.
Amazing.
Yeah, pretty messed up.
Also, it just really cracked me up, the idea of him just like being like, fuck it, bear traps.
I do like that Champ coming down to jump scare Zach directly prevents Zach from stepping on a bear trap and taking this movie up to like an R rating.
It becomes a very different movie at that point.
Yeah, then we got like a Saw situation on our hands.
Oh, man. That's
we have to get out of here before he gets back, but I'm trapped in here.
That's a bad way to go.
Yeah. And Champ is leaving him in the dust.
Yeah, cowardly. As soon as the blood comes out, he's fleeing.
Oh, yeah. Champ's gone.
Now, they do evade these bear traps, though, and they make their way up to the study, attracted to a noise seemingly made by a bookshelf. Mm-hmm. The shelf is also packed full of locked manuscripts, which Champ recognizes as Goosebumps book. Mm-hmm. Books, even. Multiple. And curious about why they're locked, Zach finds the key to open it for Champ, but they're attacked by Hannah, who is defending her home from intruders, as far as she knows.
With a bat.
Yes. What else are you going to do?
Yeah.
Bats get a lot of play in this movie. They don't get to hit anything good with it, just a couple bees, but...
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. But yeah, this is another great Goosebumps moment. This is the moment to me that really feels like a cliffhanger where, they sneak into the room and they open up a book and suddenly a shadowy figure emerges from behind them. Mm-hmm. Cut to next chapter, lights click on immediately. Oh, it's Hannah.
Yeah, that's a good fake out. That's a good example of a Goosebumps fake out.
A perfect fake out,
Yeah.
The real problem is with the book, however. When Zach goes to put it back, the book opens, and these books are so good, so visceral, that the ink, blood, sweat, and tears combine to bring the titular abominable snowman of Pasadena to life. Just kind of a cute snowman, though.
He is cool looking.
He is very cute.
This is a great opener.
All he wants to do is eat candy.
Yeah.
I was trying to read that as he wants to eat candy, but then I also was like, was he just waiting up there, ready to drop that on somebody? Because it kind of seems like maybe he was just waiting to just drop that on someone's head.
Maybe. Look, I want to believe in the best of the snowman of Pasadena.
Yeah.
He just wanted some sweet candy. Okay.
Yeah, change his name to the adorable snowman of Pasadena instead of abominable.
I bet there's an action figure of that somewhere.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, yeah.
There had to be some product lines for this, for sure.
Sure.
Why not?
There's just a Jack Black action figure running around out there somewhere.
Oh, my goodness. I have a Quentin Tarantino action figure, so there's definitely a Jack Black action figure.
Between all the movies, there's got to be. Mm-hmm. Now, the snowman attacks Champ, and it bursts through that wall of the house when Zach saves Champ. Mm. And when they all run after it, the lock on Night of the Living Dummy flips open by itself. Now, The gang tracks it to the ice rink, and this is where I wrote fun boss fight happens.
Yes.
Because this is very much a video game sequence here.
Yeah, it's very big into arena boss fight. And I think there must have been a subplot somewhere where Zach is a hockey player and not a baseball player. Because he has baseball stuff up in his room.
Yeah,
But,
there's a video of him playing baseball with his dad.
Yeah.
Right.
And just, if you're a father, never play baseball with your child. And
You
if
will
you
die.
do, don't record it, because you're going to die.
You signed your own death warrant.
That's the true reason why every dad is a deadbeat dad and doesn't throw the ball around enough with their son, because
It's
they know what
self-preservation.
happens. It's self-preservation.
Yeah, they're like, if only you understood.
I
my
love
son.
you. I love you. I want to.
I want to be around.
But I love myself more.
So you think that there was he was a hockey player?
Yeah, I can't
Kev?
think of too many other examples of when that would come up. He just has some kind of hockey player energy to him, I think.
He's athletic. I think he's
Yeah.
just supposed to be an athlete.
Yeah.
Yeah, general athleticism.
Yeah.
But the boss fight happens. This guy drops a vending machine at them, like he said, in his search for candy. And Hannah reveals that the only way to stop him is to suck him back into the book. Big LOL at the Zamboni going slow while Champ
Great-
drives. This
great
really
gag.
made me laugh.
Great gag.
Very good.
But when it looks like they're fucked, Jack Black shows up just in time to trap the snowman in the book once more. He reveals that he is R.L. Stine, and Steve King is a hack who wishes he could write books like him.
I love his car. I love R.L. Stein's wood-paneled Wagoneer.
Yeah.
Classic.
Amazing.
That's what RL would have
Yeah.
in my head. Even if it's not
again-
what RL drives, it's what he drives.
To Kevin's point, that feels like an RL note. Like, that's my car.
Yeah.
You're getting me
what,
that
what if
car.
it was his car?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Wow. I also do really like the idea, based on R.L. Stein's public persona, he does portray himself as a bit of a grump, and I like that this R.L. also really wraps that into it, all of the being, mean to these kids. It rubs me the right way. I think that this is a very funny portrayal of R.L. Stine,
Yes.
who, kids would love to meet, and he's just like, I fucking hate every one of you.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that that's literally pretty much the reason why his character, his stated reason for why he is the way he is he's like, I hate people. In high school, I started hating people, and I kept hating people, and here I am.
I like that he blames allergies. It starts with, I had really bad allergies and I couldn't go out to play with the other kids.
Yeah.
And I don't suffer from allergies, but I do know people who are on the verge of super villainy because of allergies.
Yep.
So I thought
It's tough out there for allergy sufferers,
for
you
sure.
know?
Oh, for sure.
It's funny, too, because he specifically says that he got bullied for his allergies. And it's like, what?
Who
They,
does
throwing
that?
pollen at you?
Yeah, what jerk does that?
Kids are mean.
Kids are mean.
RL knows better than anyone.
That's why you have to become a lie elemental to
Yep.
survive.
So true. Yes, you tell them that you're not allergic, they don't throw things at you.
I think that Champ and RL in this great chemistry. The two of them make for some very funny lines together. There's one coming up later that I really like between. It's mostly a Champ moment, but I think that they play off of each other really well, and I think the kids had a lot. They were able to kind of go with Jack Black's flow and increase the humor a lot.
Yeah. I love when he throws Champ's phone out the window when Champ won't respect his no photos request.
Perfect.
And he literally tells the kids to fuck off.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna fix this, and also Hannah, we're moving.
Yep.
And
And he's
him grabbing the credit cards and passports out of the wall. That's it's just cool. I don't know why I
Yeah.
like that so much. It's just
he's
like,
just
go bag.
he says what he feels and he backs it up with action. He
So does.
He hates people and he's fucking out of here.
Yeah, and this is when he does explain the whole deal. So he wrote these books to be his monster friends because he was bullied, but they leapt off the page, so he had to keep them locked up. And this is when Slappy reveals himself to them, willing to go along with their plans to destroy Madison until he realizes that RL actually doesn't want to do that. So fucked up. I know when you're lying to me, Papa.
The Papa lines, many Papa lines.
love the Papa lines, and that was a Jack Black improvisation right there.
Calling
Yes.
him Papa,
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's made even more funny by the fact that it's him talking to himself in this moment, like
Right.
you were saying. Now, Slappy says, fuck this, burns his manuscript, and he starts unleashing all the monsters before burning their books too.
Okay, is there a haunted car Goosebumps? Because I didn't even look that up. Is there one?
I was wondering that too, because I don't remember a haunted car, but I love it.
There is one.
There is.
It's not. So here's what I'm thinking. It's part of Goosebumps Series 2000, which Kevin and I are currently beginning.
Yeah.
I think a lot of these were drawn from Goosebumps Series 2000 because there were a lot of monsters that I was like, I never saw that one before.
I mean, that makes sense, I guess.
Sure. If it came out in 2000, that's the more recent series, I guess.
Yeah. There was a Christine the car because it shows up and there is a RL's Christine the car.
Yeah.
And I was like, that isn't a book. Did it just
after he gave Stephen King so much shit, here he is taking Christine.
He's Christining.
Now, the first to emerge and really confront them is the killer lawn gnomes. Wonderful. They do classic little, like, scamp critter shit, emerging from drawers in the dishwasher and throwing knives.
There's a great Gremlins nod to Champ throwing...
the oven.
Or throwing them down the garbage disposal, which reminded me of the... Because don't they have a moment where they do the oven, but isn't it the or they have like a blender or something, don't they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. One of them gets blended up, for sure. There's a few moments here that do feel like just adjacent to it, like they're references to it. That feels like it. The oven feels like when they microwave the one gremlin in there as well.
I love how brutal you can be with the garden gnomes in a kid's movie.
Right.
Like shoving one into the garbage disposal is just great. Paul, did you read Revenge of the Garden Gnomes or Revenge of the Lawn Gnomes?
That was part of the original ones. If it was, I did.
Yeah, it was probably an early one, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. Remember. I remember that one being not a great one.
Yeah, it seems to be like one of the more iconic ones, or at least one of the more visually interesting ones, because the zombie lawn gnomes are brought back in Haunted Halloween. So. The gnomes, I guess, have staying power, but their ability to like recombine out of their like shattered porcelain cells was pretty cool.
Yes.
Great sound work there with that monster. Like they nailed the animation, making it jerky, but it works because they're made out of like really stiff porcelain. Like just really, really, really good.
Yeah, you also gotta laugh at Champ frying panning RL in the damn face.
That was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the lawn gnomes were some of the best effects in it, and I think if I remember correctly, in Haunted Halloween, they bring the lawn gnomes back, and we were equally impressed with the lawn gnome effects in that as well.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
No, I agree. I think that because you could, like you said, you can get violent with them. You can they have the creep factor of a doll, right?
Yeah, right.
Like they have that doll creep factor, which is nice, and their kids are gonna laugh at them.
They're really satisfying to smash. Like seeing them be like powderized by the bear traps was a really good payoff for putting bear traps in the basement.
Yep.
Yeah, and for a kid to not only be able to destroy these things with gleeful abandon, but to also not have to worry about it tipping over the edge into too gory because there's nothing inside of them is really a boon for the animators, I think.
Yeah. Just really good.
There's a part later at the dance that I thought was pushing the boundaries, but they do follow it up with a good joke. Well, I can just jump ahead because we'll probably get through it quickly. When the kid gets pulled out of the dance by the giant mantis, I was like, damn, they just killed that kid.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But they do bring him back at the end of the movie in a joke showing that he's in like a full-on body brace.
It looks like he got fucking killed, though.
Yes, it does.
Slappy's alien master people who freeze dudes. Pew, pew.
Yeah.
Are those from a thing?
They have to be 2000 as well, Kevin.
They got a 2000 kind of look to it.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, good design though. I like those monsters.
Yeah,
they were fun. They escape through the basement though. Like you said, the bear traps are snapping and destroying them. Watch out for the bear traps is a funny line for RL to say, kind of throwing back to it. But Slappy is causing mayhem in town. It is very funny to me, again, kind of talking of how like there are moments that feel like it might be pushing the boundaries of a kid's movie where there's like the video footage of him going through the town, like throwing the flaming books, but it just looks like fire bombs burning down Main Street.
Yeah. He is fucking up Madison, Delaware. He's setting them back a couple of decades in terms of GDP.
Which is appropriate for Slappy because he is a terrorist.
It's true.
There you go.
That's true. Slappy hits kids.
He does hit kids. He also, man, throwing the books like he's Paperboy was just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
He also was involved in 9/11, I believe.
Allegedly.
Sure. Allegedly, Slappy
I think anyone
was in the North Tower.
Anyone who's watched Loose Change knows that he was involved, okay?
Do your own research.
Do your
That's
own
all
research.
I'm saying.
Yeah, you know. I mean, look closely at that smoke. You can kind of see Slappy's face in it.
The dog, his eyes glowed at the foot of the wreckage. His eyes glowed the Goosebumps green.
The G goes across.
Everyone is getting taken out. You know, like we said, they're really causing mayhem here. Aliens are freezing the cops and also most of the town.
Slappy is throwing out one-liners after one-liner after one-liner.
Really is. It was getting a little much, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. They weren't all killer. There were some filler in there.
Sure. Look, this is a classic quantity over quality situation, though.
Yes, it was.
I did like that brief little scene with Zach's aunt and the vampire poodle. That was very good.
Yes, Fifi the vampire poodle. This is wonderful. Also, communications are down from the killer plant. Great way to be like, look, Champ's already had his phone thrown out. That's why they couldn't call earlier.
Yep.
And now communications are down because of this. And they realize that the only way to stop them is to make a new book, one that can capture them all. And the problem is that RL can't write on just any old computer. He needs his classique Smith Corona typewriter, which is special. It's not just him, he says. It's the two of them together. They make sweet, sweet music. And it's currently on display at the high school.
I mean, several questions there.
Yes, this raises some questions.
If he moves around a lot, does he, just keep the typewriter at the regional high school where he doesn't...
Is he like an anonymous benefactor who constantly donates it when he shows up in town?
Just one typewriter. Yeah, what's his relationship to this school?
Right.
It's not even like his daughter's enrolled.
Right. His daughter doesn't go there. He apparently just moved here or has been hiding here.
Yeah.
I think
very strange.
I think he's just showing up and he has his what was the helper for Dracula? What was his
Renfield.
He has his Renfield shows up and always donates the typewriter to whatever school they're going in, and then takes it back when they leave town.
Perfect.
That's how I'm going to
explain what school wouldn't want one used typewriter to put on display
from an author who ran away and disappeared?
Right. You're both creatives. Either of you have any rituals or sacred implements like this? You know, it's not quite the same, but I am a big fan of the Pilot G2 pen. I think that it is it just writes great. You got them; they're cheap, smooth.
I am big into using paper to organize my ideas rather than digital stuff.
Nice.
That and having a clicky keyboard is pretty nice.
I do love a clicky keyboard. I think that's probably for me. Is I need that tactile hit.
It'll annoy everyone you ever play games with. But there's really nothing like it when you're really in the midst of flow and the keyboard's just clicking along.
Sure.
Yep.
I think that's what you get. That's what RL is getting out of this typewriter as well. Is you get the feedback.
Yep.
Of
he knows the pressure of those buttons.
Yeah. I also forgot to say that the Pilot G2 pen is famous for also bringing monsters to life, but. Besides that, they're not exactly the same. Now, the dance is also happening at the high school at this moment, so Champ gets his wish for them to go to the dance all together. Mm-hmm. But while they're driving over, they get attacked by the Invisible Boy and a giant praying mantis. This one of the most iconic covers, in my opinion, for a shocker on Shock Street.
Yep, and again, another movie where no one said, wow, shocker on Shock Street. No one said that, and they should have said it.
Yep. It's fucked up.
You're missing out.
They flipped a car in their flight. And again, I feel like I'm surprised to see that in a kid's movie.
Yeah. And the movie's got budget when they can wreck a car.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was kind of slow, and it doesn't hurt the car or them really at all. But still, it was they flipped a damn car.
Yeah. And then the mantis destroys it, and we get some good lines from Jack Black about the low mileage that he had on it. Which is just such an adult joke. I feel like a kid is not going to appreciate that. Not that it's a very refined adult joke, but it's just one of those things that's purely there for the parents to be like, ha.
Right. The kids have no concept of mileage on a car affecting value.
Right.
But maybe they should.
Maybe they should. This taxes and Kelly Blue Book value are the two courses that should be taught in high schools.
We are
for real.
trying to learn them these things. We're going to. We're doing it through our movies.
That's right.
Before making a multiple thousands of dollars college commitment, probably would have been good to know what that money was.
Yeah. Sure.
How many cars with low mileage would that get me?
Exactly.
That should be the SAT questions.
Every kid would answer it. No kids would go to college.
But they all manage to escape their car. They get into the grocery store, and inside is this friggin' Wolfman that we talked about. I love this. I also laughed a lot at RL dousing himself in Axe body spray. I wanted to cry imagining that smell.
Dude.
He sprays it and walks through it.
That is the moment. That's the Jack Black moment right there. That's like an improv masterpiece from him.
It's also very real.
Yes.
That's how people did it.
Yep.
And you know what? Dylan plays a great straight man in that scene as well, because he's just looking at Jack Black so straight-faced and so intently. Like I have much to learn from this man.
Yep.
It's great. Really good moment with Jack Black. Really good moment with Dylan. What's his last name?
Minette.
Minette. He might be French.
Dylan M.
I always fancy everything up because I can figure that if you fancy it up, you're not going to insult anyone. You know what I mean?
That's very fair.
If you de-fancy it, they're like, oh, it's just Minette. It's fine.
It's Dylan Minette, Delaware Mignette.
Dylan Delaware Mignette. Okay, all right. I got you. Delaware Mignette.
But this is another sort of arena video gamey type thing for us.
So it is
for us to do a little tussle with the Wolfman.
Sure, and similar to that first arena boss battle, they don't save themselves. Someone has to come in.
Yep.
Aunt Lorraine comes in and saves the gang.
Yeah,
it's really like mostly the characters. They don't save themselves for the most part. They just hang on as long as they can.
Yeah. Which I guess makes sense for fighting monsters. You know, for them to have to be distracted and unprepared for whatever is coming and saves them, I guess it does make sense. And we have also seen that clearly Aunt Lorraine got away from Fifi the vampire poodle, so she must be capable.
Tussled. It's great, yeah.
We are left to imagine how she killed this vampire poodle, though.
She doesn't, because I believe Fifi reappears.
Yes,
she
Fifi
does
show back up.
This is my thing, guys.
Okay.
I think that it's not just because they're made of porcelain that the gnomes could reassemble.
Everything reassembles. Everything reassembles.
Yeah.
So she probably did kill that dog. She's carrying that weight through the rest of this.
She probably killed and buried that dog and had a big freak out about it. Being like, am I a bad person?
I also we see it's all clean with the porcelain, but just gooey hunks of meat pulling itself together for the dog.
You know she had to use a shovel or a bedazzler. She probably had to bedazzle the dog to death.
Oh my god, the worst way to go.
Jesus. The horror. But then she kills the Wolfman without any regrets.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the first cut is the deepest, as they say, Paul.
Yeah.
She's over it.
I love her car. You don't see it for more than a second, but it's bright orange, and that's great.
That's very Lorraine.
Yep.
It's a great. She does that. She's like, this is my work. This is where I work, and they have a private sign for her parking back there.
Also bedazzled.
And just further in the polar opposite of RL's character in this, and just the perfect foil for
great little forecast there too, because you see that sign and you see that it's shiny, and it does catch your eye, and you're like, what was that? And then it's a very quick cut, and then woman, car, dog hit, dead.
Yep.
Boom. There you go. And this is where her and RL have a little flirty interaction. They're very cute together, but she has to get sent off to go see what's up with the cops and tell them to go to the high school while the Steincorps continue their trek through the cemetery.
Mm-hmm. There's a, I think it happens before they get to the cemetery, a line that I loved. I thought it was a great Champ's best bit, which is they see people frozen in the whatever those alien creatures freezing race stuff, and he walks. He's like, "Oh my god, Dad!" and walks up, and there's a brief moment. He's like, "Oh no, it's not my dad. False alarm. It's not my dad." And I just thought that for some reason that just tickled me. It just got me.
It takes him so long to realize too.
Yeah, he's going through all the stages of shock and grief.
Yeah,
and then he's just like, "Oh wait, no, we're good. We're good." All right, to the cemetery. Let's get out.
Sure, here we go. Cemetery time. Zach goes to smooch Hannah, but before he can, she turns into a friggin' ghost in the moonlight, which he plays off surprisingly coolly considering she just turned into a friggin' ghost.
Yeah, he does. Again, straight man. Handles it.
Yep.
He handles that moment.
Yeah.
Right before that, another Goosebumps fake out. She gets caught on a statue's little claw.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it's just another one of those classic jumps, jump scares.
Something reached out and grabbed me.
And I just did that scream, and I remembered they got a lot of mileage out of Champ's scream in this too,
Yeah.
which is very high pitched.
No.
Yes, don't judge me, he says.
Here's
And don't.
Here's the thing about the moon kiss.
Yeah.
The fact that Zach is like an inch away and doesn't go for the kiss. As a teenager, if someone wanted to kiss me and they were a ghost, that wouldn't be material to me.
It's not the
Not
game,
stopping.
not a deal breaker.
Not stopping.
It'd be surprising, but not enough for me to like cease my velocity towards them.
Yeah, well, I wonder if that's why he stopped. Is because he's like, uh-oh, I'm gonna pass through her head.
That's true. He understood the physicality of kissing a ghost instantly.
Yeah, later on, there's like a really kind of fucked up line where he says to RL, she thinks she's a person.
I also laughed at that so hard.
Well, there's some really fun stuff that we'll talk about at the end in terms of her character.
Yeah. Oh my god, that was so funny, Kevin. I lost my mind at that.
She thinks she's a real person.
I was like, that is a hell of a sentence, my dude.
You tried to kiss her.
You're still in love with her.
Yeah. All this goes down, though, and they're interrupted because they're attacked by zombies and have to flee. And Champion really shows his cowardice here, taking off for the hills.
Another great line. I think the zombies were really creepy looking.
Yeah.
They had some good horror factor to them. And then there's that great moment. They're going through the fence. Everybody else gets through. RL gets stuck. Leave me, let me be. I'll take care of him. And Champ just is like, all right, cool, see ya, and runs off. Another great bit.
I wonder if Champion is just like a Scooby-Doo XP. Like,
Yeah.
I wonder if that was why we have such a cowardly, shitty kid in our
Seems possible.
in our roster. I don't know.
I love that in the walk through the cemetery, they do discuss Champ's name and how he is Champion.
Yeah.
Fully named Champion.
Yeah.
And it's underlaid. The audio is underlaid in the beginning of the romantic moment between Zach and Hannah. But they still play the audio out. So I'm like, they just recorded that. They just filmed that whole scene about this guy's name. And I love that at this point from this point on, RL uses Champion as his name. He embraces Champion fully.
Yep.
That's right. Calling all cops. Calling all the cops. My nephew is in trouble. Another great Jillian Bell moment here. And cue Sergeant Slappy. Just an incredible sequence of events that winds up with Lorraine being frozen too. I would literally just be doing like a frame by frame breakdown of this sequence. It's just so funny. So
Sergeant Slappy's great.
Yeah.
Some more good one-liners. It's fantastic.
The aviator's just kind of dangling on his face. Incredible.
folks, if you were just like, I'm just gonna listen to this episode, this is your incentive now, is to go watch this scene and just check out the movie. So there you go.
Yeah, just check it out. I love that scene of stuff because, as you said, Kevin, the glasses are just falling off. It is like they were like, we barely have to do anything here.
Yeah.
We're gonna set this puppet up right here. We have it. The puppeteer can get right behind this giant wall.
Yep.
Don't breathe.
This is the easiest effect sequence we're gonna have in this entire movie.
And it kills. It's really fucking funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. Zach confronts Stein about Hannah being a damn ghost. And Stein says that she was meant to help him cope with the loneliness of his curse. And Hannah is made to believe she's real, and so Zach agrees to keep his mouth shut. They separate so that Stein can write. And very funny, not only that, one, the school is doing a stage adaptation of The Shining.
Yep.
That's very funny.
Yep.
Two, famously has got a scene where they find the signs of madness confirmed by a typewriter.
Yep.
And three, written by his hated rival, Steve King.
Great.
It's fantastic because this movie squeezes in so many references. Which it has a Blob reference earlier in it too. The Blob reference in it earlier. I think that that's what we were talking about. This is like tiptoeing on the on like the edge of quality, and I think that there's enough soul in this. There's enough like love coming from the director who's like, I'm gonna put these moments in like this shiny moment, which is like you said, a multi-tiered, clever meta joke for the movie, all that stuff. I think like that type of stuff goes a really long way in this.
Yeah, I agree with that. The more we talk about it and the more I'm kind of processing it, I had a lot of fun in this movie. I would probably watch it again. Again, I think my trappings of quality,
trappings of quality,
scent of quality line sounds harsh, but like, the more I think about how, Paul, you're right in saying that this all exists in service to a brand.
Yes.
This is just a commercial in a lot of ways, but a lot of things are just commercials and they still have artistic merit.
Yeah, I think that this movie is good. It's not blowing your mind, right? Like, this movie's not changing anything. It's not going to push the boundaries of anything. But as a serviceable, fun time experience, it does its job.
Definitely.
Yeah. It's a classic, better than it had to be movie.
Yes.
Your 22 Jump Streets.
Yeah.
Your Goons 2.
Yep.
That kind of thing.
Exactly. Like, it could have been Haunted Halloween. The first one could have been Goosebumps 2 Haunted Halloween, and that's what I expected.
Yeah, and for the first Goosebumps movie, they would have made money with anything.
Right.
That's
Anything
fair.
that got put on that screen, they would have gotten kids coming in. And people like us who grew up with Goosebumps or whatever, just in the zeitgeist.
Yep.
And I think it is evident that somebody is trying with this movie. Maybe even multiple somebodies.
Maybe even they got everybody on board for this one.
So for a movie that is effectually just a commercial, I think that it is doing a lot with that commercial.
Yeah.
For me, at least.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Enough to the point that I was willing to revisit this of my own volition for this podcast.
Yeah, I was watching it for this podcast, and I had to say to Jen, this was better than I remembered it being okay, like being like fine with it, and I was like, I'm having an okay time right now.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I definitely wish I had someone next to me when I watched it, because I watched it alone. And a movie like that, where just so much is happening at once, it's fun to have someone next to you to be like, you're seeing this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Giggling. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
Hannah is psyched to be around so many people. Also, another flat out lie by Zach about the dancing usually being better.
Yeah, that was really cute.
It was cute, but I went to high school. I know that the dancing sucks.
Yeah, the dancing's always bad. But it was cute that Hannah was like, "Oh yay, people! I'm a total shut-in weirdo."
Yeah.
It was good.
It was good. It was good. Even if she was just homeschooled and not a ghost, you would understand why this is a big moment for her.
Yeah.
Now, they get his mom and Champ, or they get his mom to tell her what's happening, and Champ gets on stage to talk before he punches Zach with the mic and says, "No, you do it."
Yep.
Zach says, "Hey, I know this is nuts, but monsters have invaded Madison." And I love that the one guy in the audience is nodding, and I'm sure that it was supposed to be sarcastic nodding, but he did not go big enough. No. So it looks like this one guy is just like, "Yeah, I knew this was coming."
And he's proven right that his faith is proven out in a couple minutes. So
That he sure is, because
good for that character.
Like we said, incredibly satisfying that the guy who heckles Zach is the one who gets eaten by this giant ass bug.
And it's another good funny moment in the he heckles, everybody gets a big laugh. You think he's heckling again, and even the audience is like, "Come on, man, it's getting old. We're getting tired of this."
And because Goosebumps is at least a little bit silly,
yeah.
something wonderful gets to happen in this sort of horror movie plot that we don't see a lot, is that a whole town gets to see for themselves a supernatural event, and everyone agrees it happened.
Yes. Yeah, right.
Yeah, they don't have any choice now because Slappy has marshaled his armies onto the front lawn of the school there.
Yep.
I think that's really cool that they don't like X-Files cover this up, or like Men in Black cover this up, or like any number of properties cover this up. It's just like, yeah, a giant mutant insect injured a kid, and we're all going back to school.
Yeah, we're gonna pick up the pieces and we're gonna carry on.
Yeah, that is what would happen.
Yeah.
we have no choice but to carry on.
So true. Madison persists.
Madison strong.
Madison strong. Yeah, this might be a little uncomfortable to talk about, but school shootings were a problem back in 2015, just as they are now.
Yeah.
And the whole, like, barricade the door with chairs and it doing nothing.
It's scary imagery.
It is scary imagery. I did think of that when I saw the whole school coming together to defend themselves against a threat. That is kind of what I think of now when I see a whole school coming together. So
it was grim. Thankfully, it was just a demonic puppet and his army.
Yeah, thank God.
Yes.
And the attack does begin. It's basically Helm's Deep, right, guys?
I do like how outmatched everyone is. That is pretty cool. That it's not like a struggle. It's just like nope. Slappy's got a minion for that, and
he will fuck us up.
Yeah.
It's also a great way to just showcase all the monsters again.
Mm-hmm.
Although we are running a little dry on the effects budget for new monsters, so sometimes a monster has to be a guy in a clown costume.
There were a couple. Yeah, there were a couple of those in there.
That was just the ghost of John Wayne Gacy.
That is scary.
That's terrifying. We brought him back.
Champ gets a smooch from his crush after he saves her from the werewolf with his silver fillings, which is very funny as well.
Clever. Yeah.
And
Because he bites into him and his neck starts to hiss, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
So they say a dog's mouth is cleaner than a human's paw.
Oh, you're right.
So
you're right.
What I thought was happening there was if a bite from a werewolf turns a person into a human, he was like, maybe a bite from a human turns a werewolf into a man or whatever.
Brilliant.
I thought he was doing a clever inversion on the whole werewolf thing. But the silver fillings was I like that a lot.
Yeah, that was good. And then he gets a little kiss.
A little kiss from.
I was just gonna say, hug me again.
I don't know if I like that so much. I don't know if I like Champ getting the girl that, until he literally had to save her life, did not want anything to do with him.
Call him chump. But
you know
that
what?
was the first time that he says at the beginning that her calling him chump was the first time that they had ever talked. So it's not like there was really a negative impression that she had of him, just the general school-wide impression. So maybe this was her seeing, there is something to Champ, not Chump, and he deserves to be seen for the champion he truly is.
Yeah, and he gets paid off for being the butt monkey of this entire movie.
Listen, I'm just saying, quiet, nerdy teenagers out there, maybe if it takes a disaster-level giant mantis event to get someone to notice you, maybe find a different someone.
Sure. Hey, I won't argue with that advice.
Fair.
Stein gets interrupted by Slappy, and I really love the voice that he does when he says, "Slappy?" It also really made me laugh when he calls him a dumb dummy.
Yeah.
Which, that's funny. After Slappy breaks Stein's fingers again, pushing that boundary.
Ooh, yeah, that was pretty brutal.
But played for laughs later.
Yeah.
And they make a break for it with only a few pages left to go. And this is where everyone else sees Hannah's ghost form.
Yes.
Oh, and we should also note that RL did just start writing, and they do definitely drop the line, he's a very fast writer.
Yeah.
As this is the most high-profile rebuff to the ghost writing theory that has been made to date.
So
by
true.
RL.
But
he's prolific.
Here is about where I start to fall out of love with this movie, because
I'm with you.
The ending is very abrupt. I feel, and the
this is where we achieve CG overload.
Yeah. So Zach does a number of things in the last part of this movie that don't really seem core to what his character is, and then when you reflect on that, you kind of don't know what Zach's skills entail as a person. Because in one scene, he's knocking tennis ball-sized flies away by dual-wielding baseball bats, which, okay, I can believe. That's cool. He's got some,
that falls under baseball, so
he's got some points in melee. He can defend himself because he did some baseball. I get that. Now, he does rig a bomb.
That was so surprised.
I was really, blown away by this. Pun not intended, but I will allow it. It really seems wild for the solution to be like, earlier I happened to peek in on the science department and notice something that will make a spark. If we simply place this in the engine block tied to the lever on the bus, it'll explode and take them out. Simple as pie, of course.
Hey kids, you know what every school has? Enough materials to jury rig a bomb on a school bus.
To make a guerrilla warfare level weaponry.
Yeah. Just so you know. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild. And this is in lieu of Stein luring the monsters away himself in the bus because he says that they want him.
Yeah.
But Hannah is reluctant to allow him to sacrifice himself. So they do this instead, and it works. All the monsters follow this bus, and so they get blown up, and they're taking another bus to the theme park.
So there's a really quick moment when the monsters find the wrong bus. And I had to rewind and look at it again because I thought they put a corpse in the seat. It is apparently a CPR dummy, but...
It's Stein. It's supposed to be Stein.
Yeah.
That's how they tricked him.
Yeah, that's how they got him. That was pretty wild because it's such a quick shot where they just pan down.
It really, that whole sequence goes by very quickly and I would say the pace on that is a little messed up. I think they were pushing it a little bit much.
All you need to make that scene work is to like, instead of give Zach some problems with algebra, give him some problems with chemistry and being like, I tried doing the chemistry project, but it just exploded in my face. Like, that's all you need to be like, this is how Zach makes a bomb on a bus. Is just like,
perfect.
That's
a great solution.
Yeah, you just need that one little scene.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But nothing that solution doesn't really do anything except buy time for us to move to our final boss location.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Where we go to write the final chapter.
Yep.
In the festival ground.
Fairground. They sure do. Fun match shot with the faces of Slappy and Stein there, though.
Oh yes, I did like that a lot. Yes.
Yeah.
Again, there's some moments of like actual effort.
Yeah.
Like that's a moment of actual effort because like we have these great like these big set pieces that we've been going through, and we're seemingly at our final set piece. In the House of Mirrors, and it's great to have this creepy Slappy flying around all over already, and then to have that match shot of the face of RL and the face of Slappy on top of each other is just just a nice little thing. But not the most incredibly creative shot of all time, but it's probably more than is expected from this movie.
But I think the decision to make RL the main hero's journey character of this, because he does deny the call and he does like find boons and shit and do whatever the fuck the other hero's journey shit is.
Right.
Confronts the shadow, like
all the hits.
Yeah, Slappy's his shadow.
Yep.
Like, he does all that shit.
Yep.
And that doesn't leave a lot of room for Zach, our perspective character, to do much at all. He's just kind of there.
So like, all right, so we're supposed to like, I think how I read it was they both have aversions to opening themselves up, which didn't really strike me as Zach's thing, but I guess that's what we're supposed to be playing, that his dad dying put him in a shell, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think he when he's like mean to his mom and we like when he talks about the defense mechanism of like the sarcasm, I think that's what you're talking about.
That's what we're talking. Yeah, that's what we're supposed to read that as, which I just read it as like typical teen, but and then I guess ultimately to your point, Kevin, when they have the conversation about Hannah, it is his willingness to open up that I guess changes. So like that's his act, right? Of like ultimately of like how he makes this story, how he has some impact on the development of these characters is when he opens up to RL. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Zach is more of a supporting character than the actual main character. It's just that he's the one we're like tied to as the audience.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think there are more interesting ways you can do that. Like you can do a Gatsby kind of thing that way, but I don't know. I think Zach just needed a little bit more justification as a character rather than being like, he's a teenager, he's a little awkward.
Yeah, like he almost is like he's that like name or that blank slate narrator, right? Or our protagonist for us to be able to like glom into, especially teens. And I'm with you, like I think the movie loses itself a little bit there. I think if I had to complain, I'm with you. It's like, I think that it wanted him to be the main character, but then swapped it on us halfway through the movie without us knowing it.
Yeah, it's interesting to think, though, that in their desperation to create a self-insert role for kids to see themselves in the movie, it does kind of betray the movie itself, because you could create a more interesting character there, perhaps at the expense of these kids seeing themselves in the role.
I think the problem is this movie didn't really know if it was for kids who probably don't know about Goosebumps. Their parents do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sort of pulled between, okay, we have to make sure the parents enjoy this because they're the ones who are going to recognize the Goosebumps name. So R.L. Stein is going to be like the millennial
secret protag.
Yeah, he's going to be the protag, and it's going to
RL is a millennial.
Yeah, it's going to be millennial RL.
He owns a house. It's not
not relatable at all. But like I think if a kid told me in 2015, like a teenager or a middle schooler told me that they didn't really like the Goosebumps movie, I'd be like, yeah, that's fair. I don't think it was really for you. I think it might have been for your parents.
Yeah. Hey, that's classic family fare, baby.
Yeah.
It is, and it's the marketing tactic, right? Get the parents to take
Four
the kids.
quarters, yeah, the quadrants.
Yep. Get the parents to take the kids. The kids are like, wow, the effects, things were neat. Those monsters were cool. I want to read the books. And then
perfect.
Start the cycle over, yeah.
You've just made yourself a Goosebumps reader.
Another legion of Disney fans have been born.
Oh, boy. But yeah, it is interesting. It does kind of lead to a weird dissonance between, like, all of a sudden you realize that Jack Black is the one who's going through the emotional journey here, really. And it's reflected in Dylan.
Right.
But he's not the main guy, for sure.
Yeah. It's just fucked up because it's a bit of a bait and switch. And I think with the ending, it just makes Hannah into a prop, which we will talk about.
Yes.
Which is pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
And we don't really have to go too far from Exploding Bus to get to Hannah's epilogue, I guess. So, like, sorry, George, it's your show. You should take it.
Well, I will do just that, because they unleash the damn blob.
Yep.
This is Slappy's sort of last resort. Stein goes to face off with the blob and sacrifice himself, while Zach is the one tasked with finishing the book atop the Ferris wheel. And again, I think this is sort of where they're trying to do something with him, be like, oh, draw you out of your shell. You're the one who has to finish the story. But while that's happening, Slappy is confronting Stein about his emotional crisis.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Before realizing that the book is off with Zach. And this is where we see Fifi again. So, like I said, I think that she just reconstituted herself in a fleshy, gross blob version. But they finish the book, and then Zach realizes if they use it, Hannah will get sucked in too. Mm-hmm. And she goes, oh yeah, I knew the whole time, and opens the book herself.
So does that make it better that she knew she was a creation of this man? I don't know.
I mean, it makes her noble, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
Here's the thing. The fact that, and I know we want to go like dark and silly with this, so I just want to offer an interpretation that maybe makes this a little better from being too like hyper shitty. RL doesn't seem to have control over what he writes. Like, he writes stream of consciousness, and like if he knows what has to be done in order for this book to work, like he can't just write and then all the monsters die at the end like that. It has to be a full story.
He has to tap into some sort of truth, right? Yeah.
So exactly, he has to tap into some sort of truth. I guess I understand Hannah being not just like a mindless toy, because she has to be real or else the magic doesn't work.
Yeah. I think that's a great reading of it, because where we're obviously going is, well, we'll get to the end, but it's much darker, the idea that we were going with of what she is, right?
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think I agree with that. And like the first viewing, I don't think I really quite felt that way, but I could see that more with what you're saying now.
Yeah. And okay, so at the end, are we there yet? Can we talk about Yeah.
Well, I do want to say that everyone gets sucked back in. Stein is perfectly clean.
Yep.
After emerging from the blob.
Yep.
And also one thing before she actually gets sucked in, Hannah says you have to let go. Talking about herself in this moment, but we can also clearly apply that to his dad. And saying that you can't let this drag you down. That she gives him a smooch because she belongs in his imagination. Very strange phrasing on this.
Very weird. Very
Also, the idea that you should stop bumming people out just because your dad died and you should grieve in a way that's more convenient to everyone around you. I don't super jive with that lesson.
Only the ghost is the one who said it, and it's only because she's like, look, clearly there's an afterlife, because his mom is totally fine with letting him do his thing.
Yeah. I think that's a great reading of it, George. I do think that's a very good point that you've made there. I think they could have had. They show you him grieving in the beginning, and then they have him talk about it with RL, but there's not a lot to that. Like, I don't see that affecting him that much during this movie. Maybe if he struggled with holding on a little bit more through the movie, I think that would have been a little more impactful at the end. But I do agree that I think that is a great the right reading of that.
The problem with Jack Black being so charming and wonderful in this movie, and him being the actual main character that goes through the hero's journey and has arc and changes and does all this stuff, is we don't really get a whole lot of characterization or motivation for Zach. Like, we don't get to see him, like, having his dead dad affect his life, or like we don't really get more than just a single glimpse. We don't really get to see much.
He's knee deep in the Goosebumps shit.
Yeah,
like 15 minutes into this movie, you know.
Yeah. Well, I think that's exactly it, though. Is that, you know, this is not the shortest movie ever made. It's like an hour 45 or whatever. We are already missing this extra characterization of Zach, and what seems to be a missing romantic plot line between Gale and Ken Marino. So it's like, clearly there was a version of this movie that was like 2 hours and change, and maybe we got all of those things. And I think that for the sake of chopping it down, perhaps we lost some of those father moments as well.
Release the Shivers cut.
Yeah.
Yes. So true. I'm always saying that.
There's a line in the latest Tim Rogers review. He does really, really long video game reviews, and he reviewed Cyberpunk. And his one of his lines in there is, "For a game made of problems, I had a pretty good time." I think this is what I feel about this movie. It's for a movie made of problems, for a movie that was in development hell for a long time, decades. That finally found people enthusiastic enough to make it, and then they had to, like, maybe change the movie a little bit about the ones who were the most enthusiastic about it. For a movie made of problems, I had a pretty good time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love, you know, we start moving into the actual ending here. The school is rebuilt. Everyone is showing some personal growth as promised. RL does say that has to happen. Zach goes into the school with his mom instead of saying he needs a head start. Stein is reconnecting with real people again by being a substitute teacher and dating Lorraine. But he didn't learn his lesson completely, because he also wrote Hannah back after that whole thing about how she belonged in their imaginations.
Yep, he writes a girlfriend for his new best friend, Zach.
So you could read this really darkly and being like, this is just a copy of Hannah that has all of her memories, because that's how I wrote her, and the real Hannah is languishing in Goosebumps jail. But I think, because there are multiple Slappy manuscripts, and we didn't get multiple Slappies, I think what that means is each book is a portal to a Goosebumps universe.
I'm into that.
I'd like to see them explore that. And basically, RL just opened a Hannah-shaped hole in that universe and pulled her back through.
That actually does make sense, especially with Slappy, considering that he clearly has memories of Jack Black as Papa, their past together. I think that does make sense. I will say, regardless of if it, in fact, perhaps even more dark, if it is the same Hannah. Hopefully he wrote an aging process into her this time, because she says, how many sweet 16s can somebody have?
Oh, shit. I didn't even think of that. That is bad. Well, okay. I mean, if they're in high school, they could still break up and be friends. That's fine.
Yeah, she's fucked. She's gonna be a 16-year-old ghost forever while he goes.
She's gonna have to deal with teenage boys for the rest of her life. Teenage children, who knows? I mean, Jesus Christ.
Oh my God. That's heavy. That's the real fridge horror of this movie. Being 16 forever.
And then, of course, as RL promises, also twist. The typewriter is writing by itself. The invisible boy never got freaking sucked back in, and he's writing his revenge.
Oh, Invisible Boy, also voiced by Jack Black.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize.
Yeah.
Also, a cool credit sequence to go through some classic covers. You know?
Covers look great. Again, yeah.
The Jacobus art inspiration really shines in that.
Yeah, really, it looks great. There's some brief representation here, but not during the movie itself for the Say Cheese and Die Skeletons. I'm curious if there are any Goosebumps monsters that you wish got included, and who is your favorite that did get included?
Jeez. Well, I definitely saw the Executioner from Tower of Terror, or Terror Tower, which was a very creepy one, because that's a real, actual horrid man. I can't say if I, off the top of my head, can really think of any ones that, I don't know, maybe the Haunted Mask seems like something that should have really been in there, but you can't really, like, maybe they would have, it would have been cool if maybe, like, the Haunted Mask was, like, an early scare, instead of, like, going right into... Nah, it wouldn't have worked. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. I don't know.
Hey, it's not your job to write the script. You just say who you want to show up.
I know, but I'm throwing out ideas, and I know a scriptwriter out there is like, you fucking idiot.
I mean, I know who I'd really want to see.
I do have one, but go ahead, Kevin.
I would really want to see Rip from Cry of the Cat included in there.
Yeah, Rip was fucked up.
Rip was super fucked up in Cry of the Cat, and I really do want to see those effects applied to a tornado of undead ghost cats centered on one badass evil cat.
Hell yeah.
Yep. I would say the Scarecrow from Scarecrow Walks at Midnight. Very scary cover. Great design of a character, and I think fits in with that type of horror of like slappy, doll-like horror. So I think that would have been a good one.
Definitely.
I kind of want to see an inclusion of Chicken in there a little bit. Terrible book. Awful book.
Like maybe some body horror, though.
But a little chicken body horror, like someone turning into a chicken.
Yeah.
That would be pretty fun.
I think that they could do something fun with the monster blood. You get like a growing hamster or something.
Right. I thought when they did the Blob, I was like, well, this is like your opportunity. You could have had monster blood. But maybe that's a little... I think the things that are... I'm with you, George. I think that would have been a great one. I think the things like the mask and the monster blood, which are more items that create horror within a person's life, are a little probably harder to pull off in like this Rampage style, right?
True.
I think if this is moving in towards a more like epic Marvel-y direction with a third movie, that should they make it, it would be fun to see like them being like, wait, the Goosebumps books don't just contain monsters, they also contain magical items.
Sure,
like,
artifacts.
Yeah, like the How I Learned to Fly, like it's like dough or something. It's like a weird bread.
Yeah, I forget what that is.
Yeah.
And monster blood to make things big. Like it'd be cool to have like a really big kid like have to go like King Kong.
That would be
Godzilla.
sick.
Like kaiju fight the giant man.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Oh man, here's what you really do: give the dinosaur basketball players the monster blood.
Oh my god,
that's calling all creeps, right?
Yeah.
Man,
then you got a Space Jam on your hands.
There's a lot you could do.
Yeah.
I will say the designs that stick with me, I definitely liked the garden gnomes. Just that fight, we cooed over that fight a lot, but I still really like how that was handled.
With reason.
Yeah, with great reason.
I'm big into the creature feature type thing like that, like gremlins and stuff like that.
Yeah. The tennis ball sized flies are horrifying, and the big like splats when he hits them with the
real gross
with the baseball bats, real gross. Wanted to see more of it. Why was that just a 2-second?
It was quick. I wonder if that was just a hard. I was thinking about that. I was thinking about the practicality of shooting that, and like. They set Dylan up in a room. They set Delaware Dylan up in a room, and we're like, swing away, baby.
It was probably like a bat and like water balloons hanging from the ceiling, and they just like did a test, and they're like, well, We don't
we can pull off 2.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
We don't have time for this, and we certainly don't have budget for it. But
Yeah.
it was really cool. We'll just put a second in there just so people know we're rad.
Yeah, just so they know that we thought of this.
Yeah.
Yep. Thought the zombies were great, and it gave Jack Black a reason to scream "Ghouls!" and then run away.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. And now, boys, instead of asking you why it is the best horror movie ever made, I will instead ask you how it was revisiting this now that the more adult Fear Street movies are sort of taking the Steinlight, as it were.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking about this today because we were remarkably hard on the Fear Street movies. And I will say that the reason I like this more than the Fear Street movies is I expected more from the Fear Street movies than I got. And I felt that the Fear Street movies did a good enough job. I thought they were the same thing. They had they had good enough quality there. They weren't bad movies, but they weren't as good as I wanted them to be. This, I think, the humor pushes this one beyond. I feel like this is really great. Fear Street's pretty good. Goosebumps 2, very bad. Not very bad, but just not really good. Like, just really, just not an enjoyable. I don't have any need to go back to that ever. And so, I think that in retrospect, I think I realized what I really liked about this and was kind of expecting a little bit more because of this from the Fear Street movies and didn't get that. And that is probably what changed my perspective or affected my perspective on those movies.
I think the Fear Street movies feel more like a taste of the future or maybe just the present. And looking at this movie, because it did have such a long development cycle, this kind of feels like a movie that escaped from the mid-2000s, and yet the effects kind of hold up, I feel, in this. I gotta say, there isn't a whole lot of meat on the bones of the Goosebumps movie, but I did enjoy it much more than Fear Street. And yeah, we were really hard on Fear Street, but I would much rather see a movie that has the elements of horror, that is scary, but also has just a little bit of heart, even if it is dumb commercial, stupid baby heart. That's just me. This movie didn't strike me as terribly genius, but it also, I don't think it did any harm.
Yeah, I think that the way that this affects, or the way that I come to this now, having seen the Fear Street movies, is that this, to me, I understand that they are 2 different properties, but when you think R.L. Stine, you think Goosebumps. It's just the facts. And Fear Street, I liked those movies quite a bit. I think I liked those movies more than you guys did, but I still find myself getting something out of this that I don't get from those movies. And I think that it's interesting that it almost benefited from this long shelf life because it needed so much CGI.
Yep.
Oh my God. There was such a bad movie if this comes out in 1998, right?
Yeah.
And it benefits from, in 1998, Goosebumps is still going, right? Or at least is on the end of Goosebumps.
Yeah.
So you're more likely to get, like we were talking about at the beginning, a creature feature. You're going to get one of the monsters or one of the stories, right?
Yeah.
This, I think, benefits from being able to be kind of that cabin in the woodsy type vibe.
Yeah. And I think that this also really pulls from its influences. I think that this does have some Tales from the Crypt feeling to it. And I think that a lot of the humor and willing to sort of push the boundaries of its cage really are to the movie's credit. And this really could have been a little fluff piece nothing. And thanks to the comedic efforts of Jack Black and Jillian Bell and the very, very valiant efforts of everybody else in this movie for what really could have been just crass commercialism, I think says a lot about the people who are involved in this project.
Yeah, I really feel like the actors that were in this, like you're saying, could have gone for a paycheck, right? They easily could have gone just for the paycheck, put in a half-assed effort, but I really don't feel like that was happening. I really feel like everybody was really giving it their pure comedic chops and their purest effort, and if it shines through.
Yeah, it doesn't feel cynical, this movie. It feels like Jack Black's contributions feel genuine, as does the rest of the comedic elements, as do the performances. Like I said, as much as I ripped on Dylan, I did believe him when he seemed very sad to lose his fictional ghost girlfriend. So
Yeah.
She lives in Canada, guys. I agree. I think this movie has a lot to offer, and if you wrote it off as just a kids movie, I think you will find it is a kids movie that might be worth your time. You know, it's not going to be the most mind-blowing thing ever, but if you're looking for some fun Halloween time watches, you could do a lot worse than this, I think.
If you have some younger folk around you you'd like to watch a good Halloween movie with, I think you could do far worse than this movie.
Some youths.
Some youths.
Did you just say youths?
Youths.
Awesome. Guys, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. This was so much fun to talk Goosebumps with you boys again. Please tell everyone where they can listen to you guys talk about it much more frequently. Oh, and also other plugs. This is just plug time now.
Sure. Hi, I'm Kevin Cole. If you would like to listen to me and Paul talk about Goosebumps some more, we have a whole dang podcast that we have over 100 episodes of where we talk about Goosebumps. But you can just kind of jump in on the later ones if you want. You don't have to watch from the beginning, but you can if you want. You can find that. Where do we put that, Paul?
It's on all the things. Spotify, iTunes. You can go to. Do we have a website, right?
Yeah, we have a website.
Go right to Libsyn, even.
Sorry, our third
our
third Goose Buddy, Chad, is usually the one who does all the promo stuff. So like
the logistics.
Yeah. So like I'm
you
just
can
like
go,
sweating.
Yeah, you can go to goosebuds.pod.com. That's got all the links. It's got the links to our. You can check out all our stuff, and it has links to all three of us on the host page as well, with all of our projects that we also work on.
Yeah.
Perfect. There you go.
We're also on Twitter at GoosebudsPod, I believe, which is a happening little community where we get lots of nice replies to our episodes, like stuff that we didn't know about the episodes we just did. Lots of cool people involved in
it. Is, yeah.
In our,
it's a good little community.
Yeah, I love our community. I also make video games, and I recently made yet another video game. And if you want to know about that, you can find me on Twitter at RealKevinCole.
Check it out. I'm excited to check out this new one.
Yeah.
I have a video game playing show called Continue Show. Called Continue, but it's youtube.com/Continue Show, where we play video games every week. And if you like the feeling of hanging out with a couple of friends and goofing off while playing games, you will get that there.
Yes.
Oh yeah, one more plug. I did make a horror game last year, a very brief but lovely little game called The Shade Between the Trees. I made that with my friend Hadley.
It's scary.
It's scary and good, and I had a really good time making it. So you should play it if you like horror stuff, and then let me know if you liked it, because then I'll probably make more horror games.
Well, sounds like people need to get to it then. I think that's a perfect segue, assuming, Paul, that you were finished. Yes?
Yes, I just want to say thank you for having us on.
Oh, absolutely. My pleasure. Also, I love all of the things that these guys do individually and together. Kevin's games are great. I've been watching Continue for longer than I care to admit, and I'm sure even longer than Paul would care to admit too. But it's as he says, it does feel like you're just hanging out with your buds, and it captures that couch feeling really well. And Goosebuds itself is really great, and I'm sad that Chad couldn't make it. He was busy today, but Goosebuds is great, and the three of you guys really are doing a lot with it, and it's just great stuff.
Oh,
and if people haven't checked out, there's an episode where you're on.
Yeah, listen to that one first.
That was a great episode.
That's a really good one.
Very fun.
That one is filled with laughs at how ridiculous that book was.
It sure was. Sure was a very strange book, but it was a good one, and I had a wonderful time coming on. As far as my plugs, this is the Patreon episode, so you're probably already doing all the stuff. I will just say that I already have the next Patreon episode planned, so that will be, we're talking about Doki Doki Literature Club, another horror video game.
Very nice.
So that'll be a lot of fun. I'm really excited to talk about that one. I already played it in preparation, and I had a wonderful time. So look forward to that. Awesome. Thanks, everyone, and happy Halloween. Bye.